Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back to H&J Talk Sports, the number one podcast for your favorite teams by fans just like you. I'm your host, Joe Riggy, and this handsome man over here, Harry Baxter. Harry, what's up?
Hey, how's everybody doing? Everybody doing good?
Everyone's doing good.
I could tell. So last week you broke the news that you had a kid, and this week you have a full beard. So
I have a full beard because I have a kid.
Yeah.
You don't get things to shave. Plus, I moved.
Other life.
So if everyone's returning, my background's different. It's probably going to change a couple times in the next few weeks while I figure things out.
Sorry.
If you're new here, you don't know that. But if you are new, go subscribe, click the bell, and stick around because we got a lot to talk about today, including the Pens, who did exactly what I said they would last week. They went 2-1. We got a little bit of Steeler news. Not too much happening this week. We got some fan questions at the end of the show. So if you want to see if we talk about your question, stick around to watch everyone else's question and ask us some more questions next week. So we have more to talk about.
Send those questions in. We love them.
Send the questions. Instagram, Twitter, H&J Talk Sports, or comment below and we'll answer them for you next week. But let's not waste any time. Harry, the Penguins. They did exactly what I said they would this week. They went 2-1. They beat the Islanders. They split the series with Boston.
You called it.
I called it.
Props. It's a good week. Good week for them.
Even though I called it, they let me down because after that first game against Boston, I thought they were going to sweep the series, but it was a shootout. I think it ended up being like 7-5. A lot of goals in that second game. Boston's a good team, though, so you'll take that split.
That's still a successful week. Going 2-1, splitting at Boston. I think that was the first time in a long time they had won a game at Boston.
That's the first time they've won in Boston since I think 2015 or 14. I don't got the exact date, but it's been years.
That's a
they
good
haven't
sign.
won in Boston in a while.
It's a very good sign.
One thing the Pens did Sunday that irked me. Let me get this out of the way. They sent Freddie Gaudreau back to the taxi squad. I'm guessing it's a good sign because people are getting healthy and coming back. But he's so much better than Jankowski, and we've talked about it so much the past few weeks. Why do you keep trying to play Jank? I don't understand. I don't understand when coaches do stuff like this. You always got coaches that stick to these players no matter how bad they are. You got this guy that comes up and he skates and he's good and he's putting some points up. And then you bench him.
Well, hopefully this guy does something with his second chance.
I don't know. I don't think he will. We'll see. Freddie Gaudreau's been very good. At least that depth is there. But I'm very disappointed he's been sent down. I thought that was your fourth line center. So this week ahead for the Penguins, we have New York twice and New Jersey twice. New York has been very good lately. They've had New York's number this year. They've had some close games early on, a lot of overtimes. New York has been very, very good lately. They've been putting up some goals on people. I think they've trounced Washington a few times. They've looked good. So that series isn't going to be easy. New Jersey, still not good, but for whatever reason, they always give the Penguins trouble.
So what do you think? What's your feelings going into this week? Had 2 good wins, lost the third game this week, second game to Boston.
We have 2 days off, which I like.
Still on the road.
Leave the rest. Got some people coming back from injuries. Hopefully we get some more better news. I'm gonna be positive and I'm gonna say 3-1.
3-1.
I'm gonna guess, since New York's been so good lately, I'm gonna say they split the New York series. Maybe take one to overtime and lose it. And then I'm gonna be, as much as New Jersey bugs me, I'm gonna say this time we take both games in New Jersey.
Well, last time we played New Jersey, we lost the series.
I know. I don't know what it is about New Jersey. They could be the worst team in the league, and Pittsburgh struggles with them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to hope that this little mini series I'm going to say we sweep it. So I'll say we go 3-1 this coming week. Hopefully we get some more people back from injuries.
Hopefully.
I did want to talk a little trade deadline, but we actually got a question from somebody on Instagram about the trade deadline. So we'll save that conversation for the end of the show. So if you want to hear about that, stay tuned to the end. You could always look down in the description and jump ahead to the timestamps, but I don't.
But you don't want to do that.
I think we got a lot of good stuff to say today, so you should probably listen to the whole thing. And so let's move on to some Steelers.
All right.
Not much happened this week. They made some minor signings. They signed offensive lineman Rashawn Coward, and they signed running back Kalen Ballage, which a lot of people, for some reason, got excited about. It's a depth signing. He might make the team. He's basically competing with some of the other backup running backs. He's competing for a second or third string position, I'm guessing. A lot of people got excited for some reason, but to me, that just confirms they're going to draft an RB in the first or second round.
Well, speaking of running backs, we have an interesting conversation today.
We do. Also a fan question, which we'll save to the end of the show. So stick in because we're going to talk two running backs to the Steelers. I'm gonna give a little more preview than that. Last week we talked Najee Harris, how he was on the Steelers' radar. This week people have been talking about Travis Etienne. Did I say that right? Etienne. Travis Etienne. A lot of people think the Steelers could draft him, and we got a question about that. So stay tuned to the end. Fan questions. We'll talk about which one we think the Steelers, or which one we would take, I think the question was. So stay tuned to the end of the show about that.
All right.
But yeah, Kalen Ballage, I mean, I wouldn't get excited over that. He's going to compete for a backup position.
Prove us wrong.
Prove us wrong. I mean, unless something crazy happens, but looking at his stats and stuff, redemption, I guess. But
and tag us when you prove us wrong.
Tag us when you prove us wrong, Kalen. I'm going to tag him in this and say, hey, buddy, prove us wrong. I hope he does. I hope he's good. At best, I think he could compete for a number 2. We need a good number 2 because we've been struggling. So hopefully we draft someone really good and we get a solid number 2. We need something on the run.
Yeah.
Harry, I think you wanted to bring up the 17-game schedule.
Yeah, there's not a lot going on. I think it's a good time. We could talk about, what kind of difference this proposes, what's going to happen with this extra game.
The NFL going an extra game. So I'll let you lead it off. What do you think?
So last year we had 7 teams in the playoffs. This year we have 17 games. Man, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, it's all about money, of course. Yeah. Leaves more chance for injury, which is a problem, especially when you have Ben as your quarterback. Another game, another opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how it plays. I know the players weren't super for it, but what do you think?
So I haven't seen yet. Does this affect what they're going to do preseason? Are they doing one less game?
I believe that was one of the ideas.
That was the plan. They were going to decided yet.
They were going to cut out a preseason game.
As long as you cut a preseason, I mean, the 4th preseason game is usually useless, anyways.
Well, the preseason doesn't mean a lot for.
Yeah, I think this year was a good test too, because of COVID. They didn't have a preseason, so you kind of got to see these teams jump right into it. That may have played into the decision.
Well, what's interesting is who the team that we have to play, the added team. Do you know who the added team is? Seattle. That's an interesting. It is. That's tough.
Hey, we'll have 2 old quarterbacks seeing who can hold up towards the end of the season.
No, Russell's prime. Russell's good. Hopefully, you hear rumors about teams trying to trade for Russell, but I don't think they're going to trade Russell. He's too
exciting because we don't get to see the Seahawks really. So that's kind of good.
That's about as tough as you can get from that division.
I mean, it's not an easy win with that game, that's for sure.
No, Seattle will be tough.
They definitely didn't give us a gimme for that 17th game.
Yeah, at least it's at home and we don't have to travel.
Mm-hmm. I'm 50-50 on it. I mean, if you cut out a preseason game and add it, that's more football. But like you said, with a quarterback like Ben, he tends to wear down towards the last few weeks of the season. Plus, you got injuries that could happen. It'll be an interesting dynamic to see how it affects things. And
Yeah, we'll see. Those
players
last weeks of the season are always interesting. People
Yeah.
starting to prepare for the playoffs, people sitting out.
Yeah, depending on your record, it could be a sit-out week.
We'll see.
A few teams could be
Looking forward to
battling.
it.
From
Yeah.
a fan's perspective, it's another week of football that's not preseason. So
Yeah,
you don't hate
that's
that.
true. Yeah, but you hate it for the players that are coming up trying to make it on a team and they lose a game, an opportunity to get in because that fourth game is what they got to play the most.
That's true.
Sit their starters out. So for them, it sucks. But
From the player,
as a
I'm thinking
fan,
for a fan's perspective, that fourth
yeah,
game is useless.
as a fan, it's better. Unless your star player gets hurt.
Yeah.
Which remember last year, I mean, we were starting to struggle with injuries.
Yeah.
Come the second half of the season. So
we always do.
We always do.
You could see it this way too with injuries. If you get injured earlier, there's one extra week for you guys to recover for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So my dog's walking around back there.
Yeah, he had a guest.
Special guest. He is pro 17 weeks.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Dogs pro 17.
Yeah. I'm for it. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes with injuries. It's either another week to get injured, another week for your team to recover. I don't know. Could affect different teams differently. Preseason sucks, so I'm not mad about losing a preseason game.
Would you rather, question for you, bonus question, would you rather the season start a week earlier or go a week later?
Week earlier.
Week earlier into the summer?
Yeah. That week, right? Those few weeks right before, I'm always like, oh my God, is it football yet?
Right.
So
everybody was great. All right.
Yeah, a week earlier would be better. Save me a miserable week of summer with nothing but baseball.
Uh-oh.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's about it for Steelers this week, guys. Nothing happened. 17 weeks, minor signings. I think they're still going to draft an RB to first or second round.
Draft coming soon.
Draft coming soon. It's getting close.
Couple weeks. End of this month.
Yep. West Virginia. Nothing really happened this week. On the basketball front, McBride decided to test the NBA draft.
Yeah.
Well, we talked last week.
We'll see. I don't think he's going to. I think he'll be back.
They better hope he's back.
He's there yet. Football team, QB competition going on. Or they're getting a lot of reps. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
In the spring game, maybe we can get a look at these guys.
We'll see what happens. They keep losing people. So hopefully he sticks around. Anything else happening with West Virginia?
Not a lot, man. It's a slow week.
It's a very quiet week, guys. Nothing happening. This is why we need more fan questions for weeks like this, so we got a lot to talk about.
It's an April week.
It's an April week. Yeah. Things coming up, though. April 12th, which is like, is that a week away? Yeah, about a week away. The NHL trade deadline. And that, I guess, is a good lead in to one of our fan questions. So Nick Squires, Nick_Squires 99 on Instagram. You should go follow him. He says, do you think the Pens should go after another center for the deadline for their fourth line? I personally like a guy like Luke Glendening would fit perfectly for that role. I agree. I think I mentioned it last time. I think this team is good enough where you don't want to make any big trades and risk chemistry problems. But they put Freddie Gaudreau down, and I'm not a fan of Jankowski. I'm not a fan of Colton Sevior. I don't think they've done anything this year to be in the lineup. So a guy like Luke Glendening would be a good fourth line center. Yeah, I think he's better than what we got. I'm not like super pro Luke Glendening. I don't think he's bad. I think he's anyone like that would fit that role. You just need a veteran fourth line center, win some faceoffs, can contribute more offensively than Jankowski has. I would like to see maybe some size and some toughness in that role, which I think Luke Glendening fits pretty good. I'm not super familiar with his game, but I'm pretty sure he's a big, tough guy. It's weird though. Detroit's a team for a few years I've been looking at because they haven't been good the last few years, and I feel like they got a lot of pieces the Pens could use, but the Penguins never seem to trade with them for some reason. I'm not sure if that's I guess GMs have relationships, so I'm not sure if they just weren't close with Jim Rutherford, but new GMs now, so maybe so. I have seen too, Sam Bennett has been floated by for Pittsburgh. That's an interesting name. I really liked him. He's a guy that was putting up 4 goals a game years ago. He looked like a superstar, and now he's not very good. I don't know. A lot of people.
When's the trade deadline?
Next Monday, the 12th. Yep, next Monday.
12th.
So next week's show should be very interesting. Actually, we film on Sunday, but maybe we'll go live on Instagram, or I will, for the trade deadline. And we'll see what happens. I don't know. I think the Penguins will do something. I'd be shocked if they didn't make a move. I'm guessing a depth move. Hopefully a fourth line center, Luke Glendening or someone like him that could fill that role. I think that's all we would need. So that's my thoughts on that. Our second fan question is from Pittsburgh Sports News, PGH_sports news on Instagram. And he asks, if you had to choose, would you rather have Etienne or Harris? I rambled on the hockey question. Harry, I'll let you lead this off. We'll start with who would we rather have, and then we'll go with who we think the Steelers are going to take. So the question was directed, who would you rather have? Harry, which guy stands out to you?
Who would I rather have? They're both good. They both give you different looks. Etienne, I think, is more explosive. Mm-hmm. He's fat. He's a big play guy. I like Harris if it was me. I know the big play's flashy, but Harris, he's a Steelers back. He gives me some. He can do everything. He can catch. He can run. He's durable, athletic. He can block. I think he's going to last longer, and he's going to be good. Etienne, I'd be happy with either. He's good also, but for me, I just see Harris as having the better NFL career when it's all said and done.
Okay. I disagree with you on one thing. Well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say they both played for some of the best college teams, and they both had great lines. So.
Yeah, that's a thing. And sometimes you never know when you draft these guys high like that. They're on the 2 best teams in college football, arguably. Some of the best quarterbacks in college football. Great lines. You know, you take one of those guys and you put them on the Steelers offensive line who struggled last year. How's that going to affect their game? So you got to think about that. One thing I disagree with you said Najee Harris is more Steelers football. I think the opposite. I think Etienne is more Steelers football. To me, he seems a bit more physical. He bounces off of guys. He runs through them. Old school Steelers football. I felt like watching his videos.
No, I disagree.
That's how I thought. I mean, Najee Harris, I feel like is more athletic. Etienne, I feel like is a bit more physical. I agree with your explosiveness when you said Etienne. He seemed like his acceleration from 0 to 60 really fast. Like he busts out the tunnel. I feel like Najee Harris has faster at top speed, but that explosiveness. Etienne, I feel like he looks like he's standing still and then bam, he's past like 6 guys.
I think Etienne's faster than Harris. Harrison's bigger. He can take the hits, and that's valuable in the NFL. The small backs don't last a long time, with the exception of a handful. But
I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I would take Harris as well, just because I feel like he's more dynamic and athletic. I still think Etienne, from what I've seen, I don't watch Clemson every game. I've seen some of their bigger games this year, the bowl game, and then I watched some highlights on him. To me, he seems like he was the more physical player. So I don't know. If you look at their stats, pretty similar, honestly. Harris edges in yards, touchdowns as well. Actually, Harris seems to edge in a lot of things. Harris has better numbers. Yeah, Harris actually does have better numbers. A little bit. They're both good.
Yeah, they're both good.
So I think we would both pick Harris. So I guess who do we think the Steelers will take? Harris. We talked about it last week. I would guess that's who they would take. Someone else snags them. You got what could be a solid number 2 guy.
Yeah, that's what I would take.
Yeah. So who do you think? So do they go first round or second round for the RB though? I think that's the bigger question. Do you think these guys will fall to round 2?
No, not deep enough for the Steelers to get them.
That's the problem. I think they might fall to round 2, but I don't think they'll be around for the Steelers.
I think our picks in the 20s. So
yeah.
In the 20 round 2, I don't think they'll be there.
Plus, like we said earlier, with signing Kalen Ballage, I think that confirms that they're not looking for a free agent running back. So I think their top draft priority is running back. And I don't think they're going to miss out on their guy. So
True.
That's the way they're going. Hopefully we have more to talk about next week. We'll be leading up to the NHL trade deadline. It's kind of been a quiet year with trades because of COVID. You have some quarantine issues. I know there's a 14-day quarantine. I don't know if that's just when you get traded between Canada and the US, or if that's like, it might just be between Canada and the US. There's a 14-day quarantine rule that slowed things down. Not a lot's happened. There's been like 2 trades all year, maybe 3. It's crazy. And we're a week away from the trade deadline. I think it's going to be quiet. Maybe we'll have some trades to talk about next week. If the Penguins don't make a move by the trade deadline, they might not make a move. It'll be interesting.
But you don't think do you think they'd be more successful if they don't make a move, or if they make a move?
I think they needed depth. I
thought last time you said that they were
not a big move. I think they're good. I think they could use a solid 4th line guy.
Stuff for the 4th line.
Size on their 4th line. They got too many small, speedy guys. Even their tough guys are kind of small and speedy. So they need some. I don't think you need a tough guy like a fighter, but you just need some guy that's kind of scrappy and big, push people out of the way, check people behind the net in the offensive zone, hurt people.
Gotcha.
Look over your shoulder. They need somebody.
Let's see.
Yeah.
1 week.
Maybe we'll talk some more about trading pieces Sunday or next Monday. See what they'll do. We'll go on Instagram maybe for the trade deadline. Also, we might go on IG Live and do a show for the NFL draft at the end of the month. If you want to see us do that, you should comment down below.
Yeah, let us know.
H&J Talk Sports, Twitter and Instagram. Follow. Ask some more questions for next week. Harry?
Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget.
Like, comment, subscribe, like the man says. And
join us.
I think we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you.
Cool.